Okay, a lot of people on the channel have asked me to make a tutorial on making gauntlets after I posted that last video. So I'm going to make this as the pattern for the newest gauntlet I'd like to make. But it's not a full finger gauntlet just because it's very complicated. I don't feel like going to that much effort right now. But I'm just going to not really do a tutorial, but I'm just going to kind of show the process of what it takes to make this. This is how that gauntlet turned out in steel. This is the right hand. Now I'm going to show you how I made it. I cut out all those parts with the shear, and basically if you can make it out of poster board, you can make it out of steel. That's a good armoring term for beginners. You can actually make more out of steel than you can out of poster board because you can dish steel, but I try to avoid dishing as much as possible. This is the only part that required any dishing in this piece. But it was a pain in the neck, so I don't want to do it very often. So I'm just going to put the chest mount on, and you can kind of see what it takes to put this all together. Really, I just had to cut that with the shear, and then it's just a lot of shaping and fine-tuning to get the rivet holes to line up and rivet them together. Also, beginning for armoring and stuff like that, don't use pop rivets. If you want it to be able to move like this, use roofing nails. Just put them through the hole. Use a cut-off wheel, cut off the point, and mushroom the end to make your own rivets. Pop rivets are great for stuff that doesn't need to move because it's fast. But if you want it to be able to flex, pop rivet, squeeze it too tightly, and it will never move, ever. So, don't use those. Out of the entire process of making this gauntlet, the knuckle piece was the most pain in the neck because it just has to fit all together with all these other moving parts, and it has to fit over your knuckles without stabbing you and giving you tetanus and stuff like that. Speaking of tetanus, there is a legitimate reason I'm using steel with all this rust, is because if I use nice and shiny metal, it looks too medieval. This is a pattern for medieval gauntlets, and I don't want it to look medieval. There's a fine line between the post-apocalyptic stuff and medieval. So in order to really take it away from, this still looks very medieval, very orcish, I'm going to actually add a frame, or mechanical skeleton almost, coming off of this up the rest of the arm. And that will kind of tie in, and it'll have like a gear or something. It'll be kind of steampunk look. Steampunk post-apocalyptic is very close, so you kind of incorporate it all together. That way it doesn't look so medieval. No, actually, I can't put spikes on that. We want to bring this to a Comic-Con. Close enough. The pain in the neck part is getting all these parts to line up correctly. In order to put this bend into this piece, I have to use the brake. You got to get it to match that curve first, and then you bend the ends. Also, when I get that close to the camera, I'm not trying to shove it in your face like most people do, like, you know, here, look at this. I'm actually looking at it myself because my head is, you know, just above that. For that other gauntlet, this is what I formed the fingers on. It makes a great form. Like for this kind of thing, you can just put it on, and for slight dishing and just general shaping, it's really good. This, I'm just trying to curl up the edge a little bit so it moves freely. Hopefully that made it better. This piece is the worst one to get to work, just because it's kind of complex. It's already wrong. It's driving me crazy, so I'm just going to drill the holes out bigger. That way it works. Everything can be solved with a hammer. Well, that's about all there is to it. Sort of a tutorial, sort of not, but you can kind of see how I did it. This is, I think it's about, yeah, I think it's 16 gauge mild steel. I know it's mild steel, but I think it's 16 gauge. 16 gauge is it's a good costume armor thickness. It's still functional, but it's not like 14 or 12 gauge armor. That's serious stuff. But it holds up. It feels like real armor. It is real armor, but it's not too heavy. And I am going to add more to these, but this is the basics. The rest is just kind of going to be decoration. I'm going to do that mechanical piece going up the arm and that kind of thing. But this is the basics of a gauntlet. So that is all.